that question becomes, if I know what I would want for my children because I love them, and that's, I guess, the idea. I mean, I guess we presume that we're going to love our children. And if you're going to love your children, then I guess a good question to ask ourselves is, why would I raise my children so differently from the way that I raise myself right now? If I want these great things for my children because I love them, why don't I love myself enough to pursue those things for myself? We're all fighting a hard battle. That's why we should be kinder to people, because we're all fighting a hard battle. And we react to things, and hopefully we can respond more than we react, but we react to things. And those things sometimes have a way of costing us a whole hell of a lot. You ever say something that you just wish you could take back at just that second? But words have a way of staining. Actions have a way of staining even more. You're going to pay for everything you do and everything you don't do. So just make sure it's something that you're willing to pay for. How about this? If I were to ask you guys, if you had children, what would you want from your children? What's that? If you had children, let's say, how would you answer that question? What would you want? So if your parents wanted you to be successful, by successful they might say like a job or a family or a future they didn't have, what would you want for your kids? Is there anything different you want for your kids? You're nodding. What would you want for your kids?
I'd like a successful job, graduate high school.
What's a successful job?
I don't know, it's something that will help them, provide them for their family and their kids.
So a big part of that's going to be, of course, to provide.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can really, really, really love, I don't know, can't think of any non-stupid examples. You can maybe really love what you do, but if it doesn't provide, then, you know, that cuts your kids off from having a bunch of other opportunities. Because, I mean, you've heard before that money doesn't matter, right? Yeah, of course, right? Money doesn't matter to two kinds of people. People who have a lot of it and people who have none of it. Everybody else who's kind of in between understands that, of course, money matters. Of course, money matters. I mean, think about the kind, even not even just in terms of having stuff, even if having stuff isn't really your thing. Money matters because it gives you security, it gives you stability. If you have money and you know, if you have a good career, especially a good skill set, and your boss comes along and tells you, I need you to work on Sunday, and you're like, no, I don't want to, I have a family thing, whatever. Well, I need you here. I can't be here. I had this other thing planned already. Well, if you're not here, then you're fired. Okay, I'll save the trouble. I quit. If you have enough money, if you have saved up, if you have enough of a skill set, you can go find something else. You don't have to put up with that. And you've heard before that life is like a big shit sandwich. The more bread you have, the more money you have, the less you have to taste. And that's true. That is true. People who say that money doesn't matter, they either have a whole bunch of it and they've forgotten what it's like to have very little of it, or they've got none of it. And so all those other kinds of concerns that a lot of people have just go out the window. You don't think about like vacations and stability. That's so far out of the realm of possibilities. And so of course it matters. So it has to be, so success will be something that provides, because provisions will help you feel successful because you're able to live the way that you want to live. And then maybe a job that has some kind of meaning, some kind of purpose. There are jobs out there that I mean, I think I told you a friend of mine who worked at the Staples Center, his job was as a security guard to sit in a hallway and make sure that during events, nobody walked down that hallway. If someone was walking in the hallway, you have to tell them, you can't walk down this hallway, you have to go around. That was his whole job in life. Do you suppose that guy woke up every day and said, I'm gonna make a difference in the world today? Do you suppose he woke up every day and said, I'm glad I have a meaning, I'm glad I have a purpose in life. Now the purpose of life, so the purpose and the meaning of your job might be that thing of providing, which is what a lot of people end up with. But I mean, that's the thing, it could be just one-dimensional. So maybe the purpose and the meaning of your life is this family, so you do what you have to provide for them. And then maybe the ultimate hope of all that sacrifice is that they're going to have a future that we didn't have. And there's a really hard thing there. I wonder how many of you guys, like you have family who had like really, like, a whole lot of challenges, really, a lot of difficulties, because they really wanted to make life easier for you. So your life is a little bit easier. Maybe not easy, I mean, no life that's easy is worth living, but it's an easier life. And then maybe your goal someday is to have children so that you want them to have an easier life than you had. But at what point do you make life easy for people to the point that it's no longer challenging? And if it's no longer challenging, they no longer have the skills or the skill set to make something of themselves. Because as much as the difficulties and the challenges of life seem to bother us, there's almost like this Instagram thing of, oh, it made me who I am today. Well, is who you are today really what you should be? Is it what you could be? That's a bigger question. And if it's something that you could turn into making yourself who you should be, because you recognize that you absolutely could be so much more than you can possibly imagine. Because in order to imagine something, you almost have to almost live through it a little bit. In other words, you can imagine being a millionaire because you've had a few dollars in your pocket, and so you've had a few dollars in your pocket. You can imagine now if I could magnify this out, and now that's what it's like to be a millionaire or a billionaire. But if you've never had even that small little sliver of the experience of having a little bit of money, then having $1 million is completely, it can't be conceptualized. Like if you've never had a job before, it'd be hard for you to imagine what having $1 million would be like, because you've never cashed a check, you've never had to pay taxes on it, you've never had to pay a couple of bills even. In other words, there's never been a demand on your money. Now, you can think about that true about what it is in your life that you could possibly achieve. You have to have some little semblance of having achieved something small, at least a little something. And then you can start to imagine yourself like, wow, if I could achieve this one thing I put my mind to, I wonder if I could achieve this next thing also. And then maybe this next thing also. And then pretty soon you start to get some wins under your belt. And then once you've got some wins under your belt, now you start to develop a level of self-confidence that maybe you had it before, but maybe you didn't deserve it before because you hadn't accomplished anything yet. But once you accomplish some things, that's going to be the difference between cockiness and confidence. Confidence is I have a good reason for believing that I can achieve something. Cockiness is this self-assuredness, which is really just cowardice in disguise of talking about how much we can accomplish and how much we can do. And this is why if you're a little bit unsure of yourself, that's good. That's good. Because if you're a little unsure of yourself, you're going to check your work. You're going to work a little harder. You're going to put a little more effort into it. You're going to not be so sure that you've got all the answers. You're going to make sure that you do. And then, of course, that all makes you better. So if you've had some challenges in your life, those are the things that make you better, and those are the things that set you up to achieve some great things in life. Now, again, imagine if you're so successful, though, and now you have children who never have to struggle. How do you get them to have the same skill set that you had? I don't know. That's a hard one, man. Do you intentionally, raise them with nothing? Do you make them run home from school every day? I don't know. Like how do you starve them a couple days a week just so they know what it's like not to have? I don't know. And that's the hard. That's why I asked that question of, what is it you suppose that your family would want for you? Because it is a real question. It's a question that you guys are going to have to answer someday. And I don't know how far into the future some of you are planning to have children. Let's say it's 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. The life that you're establishing right now, at this very second, literally at this very second, is the life that you're going to be bringing them into later. And so as many criticisms as a lot of us have for our parents, well, I wish my parents had done this, I wish they had done that. Okay, you have the opportunity to be that person right now. And what are you really doing to prepare for that? Well, I'm only 15. Yeah, but you're not going to be forever, man. You're going to be 25, you're going to be 35. And whatever life you're preparing right now that you're laying the groundwork for right now is exactly the life that you're going to be bringing your children into when you are 25 or 35 or 45 or whatever. And so I guess that question becomes, if I know what I would want for my children because I love them, and that's, I guess, the idea. I guess we presume that we're going to love our children. And if you're going to love your children, then I guess a good question to ask ourselves is, why would I raise my children so differently from the way that I raise myself right now? If I want these great things for my children because I love them, why don't I love myself enough to pursue those things for myself? And there's probably some reasons for that. If we go back to the first few articles that we read this year, there were some answers to those things. But if you love your nature, then you're going to love yourself. And then you're going to do what your nature demands. Find out what that nature is. Find out what those things are. Find out what those things are that you're going to pursue. Because it's not just physical war. There's plenty of that, man. In war, you learn your lessons, and they stay learned, but the fees are high. But the same is true if you're going to school. I mean, my God, I always ask that question if you want to go to college, and if so, why? It's so damn expensive, and you don't get much out of it, really. College is a waste of money and a waste of time for most people. So if you're going to go, have a good reason for it, because it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you a lot. And it's not even just going to cost you your money, it's going to cost you your freedom. Because when you get out, let's say you go and you have to take out a whole bunch of student loans. Well, now you have to work on Sunday if your boss asks you to, because you need to make the student loan payment. You have to. So now it's living a life that you have to live, of people telling you what to do rather than what you want to do. And hopefully what you want to do is what's good for you. And you don't need me or anybody else to come along and tell you what those things are. You already know what's good for you. It's just a matter of doing them. It's the same thing you'd want for your children. And so maybe life is that war. Maybe the relationship is that war. Maybe your job is that war. Who knows what the war is, but we're all fighting a hard battle. That's why we should be kinder to people, because we're all fighting a hard battle. And we react to things, and hopefully we can respond more than we react, but we react to things. And those things sometimes have a way of costing us a whole hell of a lot. You ever say something that you just wish you could take back at just that second? But words have a way of staining. Actions have a way of staining even more. So, you're going to pay for everything you do and everything you don't do. So just make sure it's something that you're willing to pay for. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Monday.